Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tankers of all ages, Sir Harry here again with another user-friendly tank video. The idea of the series is to highlight tanks in kind of the mid-tiers, tier 4 to tier 6, that are easy to play and generally good all-round tanks of their class. The idea being that beginning tankers can play these and move up the tech tree relatively painlessly compared to some other tanks. Intermediate level players can use these tanks to kind of hone their skills at kind of the mid-tier level to prep them and become better tankers, I guess, as they move on to the higher tiers. And for more advanced players, of course, none of you have any interest in coming down to lower or mid-tiers and running roughshod over your competition, right? That never happens at all. So today we're going to look at the Covenanter. That's a tier 4 British light tank. As I said, it's light, but it really, you know what, plays more like a medium tank. It doesn't quite have the top speed and the mobility that some of its counterparts do at these tiers. It's not going to be able to bomb around and dodge shots the way that, say, a Luke's can. That said, it's pretty mobile still, though, and if you think about it as a medium tank, it's actually more mobile than the medium tanks at these kind of mid-tiers in some cases, and I'm thinking like the M4, for example, or the T28. So if you think about it as a kind of medium tank instead of a light tank, it actually is even better because it gets the light tank camo bonus. So that means that it has the same camo rating when stationary and moving, which of course medium tanks do not get, and it gets medium tank matchmaking. It does not get the scout matchmaking that you think about with light tanks, where it's going to get put into battles as if it were one tier higher, right? If this was a Lux, it would get tier 5 matchmaking, so it could be in battles with tier 7 tanks. This doesn't get that. This gets just up to tier 6. Let's talk a little bit about some of the equipment you can mount on this and the modules. With regard to the guns, the stock gun is actually the quick firing 2-pounder. This is the stock gun on a lot of British tanks, the Churchill 1, the Matilda, the Valentine. It's a pretty capable little gun, actually. It's not bad. It's a little kind of pew-pewy, but 28.6 rounds per minute, so about every 2 seconds you're firing. 78 pen, 121 with APCR is actually pretty good for tier 4. And again, you're only going to see up to tier 6 tanks. So with AP and certainly with APCR, you'd have the opportunity to, you know, put out some damage on some pretty heavily armored targets up to tier 6. Damage is a little weedy, though. Only 50 for both AP and APCR. So you're going to be shooting a lot, and you're going to be exposing yourself a lot. Now, fortunately, this tank gets 12 degrees of gun depression. That is fantastic. With high explosive rounds, only 23 pen and only 60 average damage. To me, the significantly reduced penetration and the increased chance of bouncing that comes with that, to me, it just isn't worth the reward of an extra 10 damage. I would rather be putting AP or APCR rounds downrange and almost being guaranteed to pen my target, certainly for lower armored ones. 0.36 dispersion is not great, so you want to take time to aim, and 1.7 is the aim time, so not bad, not great, but it's all around a pretty solid little gun. There's two other guns, optional guns that you can get on this tank, the 40 mil pom-pom and the 3-inch howitzer. The pom-pom, again, is optional. It's 1,000 experience points. I think you're much better off spending those experience points elsewhere, unless you want to elite this tank and accelerate your crew training. I don't recommend even unlocking the pom-pom. I did here just to try it out, but certainly doesn't make sense. It's got worse pen than the 2-pounder with 49 with armor piercing, 71 with APCR, significantly worse pen. It only does 5 more damage. The 2-pounder does. Worse accuracy at 0.41. Same aim time, but because this fires from a magazine, you're putting rounds down range faster than you can aim, and therefore, your accuracy is going to suffer significantly unless you want to wait to aim between each round in your clip, which obviously defeats the purpose of having an autoloader. If you do a bit of a comparison between this and the 2-pounder, it takes 7 seconds basically to load your clip and discharge your rounds. You're going to do 180 damage with the pom-pom. In the same period of time, you're going to be able to load 3.5 shots with the 2-pounder and do 175 damage. With the increased pen, with the better accuracy, 2-pounder is a no-brainer to me, and the pom-pom, again, is a bit of a waste of experience. The 3-inch howitzer, well, that's fun, I guess, as derp guns are at all tiers. 14 rounds a minute. It's actually pretty fast firing. 38 pen with HE, 100 with heat. If you want to go with the premium round, so 100 pen's not bad. Again, you have to watch for things like tracks and angled surfaces and things, because heat has trouble with those. 175 damage with HE is great. 110 damage with the heat's a bit less, but again, the increased chance of penning does make it attractive. 0.53 dispersion is absolutely terrible. The 0.3 second aim time is not great. One thing with the British howitzers, and this gun you can see on all kinds of different tanks. You can see it's on the Church one, the Matilda gets it, and the Crusader get it. And even at the higher tiers, there's a different howitzer you can put on, say, the Cromwell. The shell velocity is absolutely abysmal. Shell travels so slowly that if you're more than 50 meters away from a moving target, you're going to be lucky to hit anything, because you just have to give so much lead to the target. It has this huge high shell arc that makes it kind of hard to gauge sometimes where it's going to land. So don't recommend it, but hey, you know what? If you want to drive around at tier 4 and nuke tier 2 and 3 tanks or whatever, then you can knock yourself out and have some fun. So going back to the garage now, the gun that I absolutely recommend and absolutely love is the 40 mil Bofors. It is a very solid all-around gun for a low-tier autoloader. A 4-shot clip. It only has 0.4 seconds between shots, and it's only 5.5 seconds to reload. So at the end of the day, every 6 seconds, you're going to be able to throw about 200 damage downrange, because this round has 50 average damage for both AP and APCR. Think of it almost as an area weapon, right? You're going to have this cone, your aiming circle, and you line up your target in the middle of it, and you hit the mouse twice, 4 rounds go downrange, and you pull back to reload. Again, only 5.5 seconds. So it's not too bad that way. I enjoy it. It's generally, to me, the best gun on this tank by far, and definitely something that I recommend you unlock as quickly as possible. Speaking of unlocking things, let's talk about the modules and the sequence you want to unlock them in. You can unlock the top turret and the top engine first before you unlock the upgraded tracks. You won't be able to put the Bofors gun on this until you unlock the upgraded tracks. Another problem is that you're not going to be able to mount any modules, rather it's, as I have here, vents, binos, whatever, with the base suspension. You're going to have to either put the upgraded suspension on, or you're going to have to actually pay the 80,000 credits to put the enhanced Christie suspension on as one of your pieces of equipment. So tracks are great. Get them as soon as you can. They're only, 1,200, I think, experience. Use the 1,000 experience you were tempted to use on the pom-pom gun and get the unlocked tracks before then you move on to the Bofors gun. And again, the 2-pounder is not terrible to play with. Talked a bit about the gun depression being fantastic. Turret gives you a bit of an upgrade in view range, but that's it. The armor is exactly the same for both the stock and upgraded turret, but you do need to unlock the turret to move on to the Crusader. That said, again, you don't need the Bofors for the Crusader, but I recommend you get it. It's a lot of fun, and it's 1,200 XP. You don't need to spend, but at this tier, you can do pretty well, and that's a couple of days worth of daily doubles and a few other battles, and you're good to go. The upgraded radio, if you plan to keep this tank, absolutely worth it, because this radio appears on well, pretty much every British tank in the line. You can see there. We'll talk quickly about the tech tree and where this appears. I think a lot of new players are probably going to be really confused by the British tech tree. You really have 4 tank lines that are kind of similar in that they have some lights and mediums and some have heavies on them. The tank line, this is on the top one here, Cruiser 3, Cruiser 4, onto the Covenanter. Crusader, underrated, I think, a lot. A lot of people just blow through it to get to the Cromwell, which is fantastic. Gun handling is not the best, but one of the meta tanks for tier 6 strongholds and clan wars. The Comet, some people don't like. A lot of good players really like it. You have to spam some premium rounds because the pen on the gun's pretty low. But, good mobility, good gun depression, all-round solid tank. Maybe not a rock star at tier 7, but very good. And then you get into the Centurions from tier 8 to 10, and they are all fantastic tanks. I really enjoy them. They're good on ridges. They have really bouncy gun mantlets, good punchy guns. The other tank lines, they've got a medium tank line to tier 4 here with the medium 2, 3, and the Matilda, and get the Matilda, by the way, which then goes into a heavy tank line, the Churchill. So you're going to be retraining your crew, I guess, and changing them from a medium tank crew to a heavy tank crew, or recruiting a new tank crew for the Churchill, which kind of puts you at a bit of a disadvantage, say a 75% crew if you want to spend the credits. We've got the next one with the M2, the Stuart 4, the Grant, up to the Sherman and the Firefly, which then becomes a tank destroyer line at tier 7 with the Challenger. And finally, the Cruiser 1, Cruiser 2 Valentine line, which then becomes, again, a tank destroyer line with the Archer and a self-propelled gun line with the Bishop. No more light tanks after that. It makes sense because historically the Archer and the Bishop used the Valentine chassis. Certainly I recommend this tank line through the Covenanter, Crusader, Cromwell, and so on as probably the first one you want to look at if you're interested in British tanks, because it's, again, very easy to play and lots of solid tanks in there. So without further ado, let's get on to some gameplay, and I've got 2 battles for you featuring the Covenanter. So here we are in our first battle on Mountain Pass. You can see it's a tier 4 battle, so that's great, top tier, always nice. And looking at the enemy team, I see there's lots of tanks that can hurt me. They've got a Matilda, they've got a T-28, which has a really big punchy gun, 2 Hetzers, which I'm absolutely terrified of course, because they should have no problem penetrating me with high explosive and probably one-shotting me if they actually got a high damage roll. And they've got a Lee and a Grant as well. Now those are pretty terrible tanks for the most part, but they do have very fast firing guns, and they do a fair bit of alpha damage, so I have to watch out for them as well. So looking at the team dispersion here, we've got 3 tanks going up down the valley to the east there. We've got a medium and a couple of TDs, so that's enough. Low tier games, sometimes you'll see teams either all lemming down that way or not send anybody down that way, and so there's somebody there to watch it. As long as they don't YOLO up the ice road and get wiped out on the approach to the enemy base, that's okay. I decided to play a bit more of a spotting light tank kind of role in this game. I'm heading across the river valley here to see what I can spot for my allies, and hopefully some of them will be situated up top there. You see I've got some company as well. 3 of us are going to wind up going across here to get some spots in, and so we crest up over the ridge kind of slowly. Not sure what we're going to see. And oh boy, 2 Hetzers. Yeah, no, get out, get out, get out. I definitely don't want to be taking shots from them. And my colleague here decides to do the same thing. So let's see if we can get some spots anyway, maintain visibility on them. Artie comes in, and the T-28 from across the valley there has got a good firing position, and the first Hetzer's taken out, so there's some early spotting damage. Pretty happy with that. So I'm going to start taking some pokes at the Hetzer here on the right up on the hill. Don't manage to pen him, so I decide instead to go for the second clip on the Artie. And you can see what I was talking about there. I'd basically center the Artie in my aiming reticle, hit the mouse twice, 4 rounds go towards the Artie, and one of them hits. So a bit of, again, it's an area weapon, really. It's not a sniping kind of weapon. And let's see if we can finish him off. Yep, there we do. Artie's gone, so that's great. The Su-5 is out of the game and can't hurt us anymore. So we've got the LTP there shooting away, blazing, and I decide to go after the Chiha, and the LTP catches me in the side of the turret. That's my fault. You know, I should have been paying attention to what he was doing there and not drive in front of him while he's sniping. But anyway, we go after the Chiha. He puts 1 round into me. I get a full clip into him. So definitely happy to trade like that all day long. Reload, again, 5-second reload. I go for the rear drive wheel there to track him in place, knowing he's going to put another shot into me there, but I can finish him off easily. So now I look at the mini-map, and I can decide to go for the enemy base. They're kind of weak up in that area, but I see that down in the south there, my team's having a bit of trouble in the southwest corner. They've got a couple of pretty good tanks, a T-28 and the other Covenanter, who are putting pressure on, and decided it's probably better to take out enemy tanks rather than try to go for an early cap or to, you know, charge the base, whatever. And that's a mistake a lot of new players make. They see an open base and they want to go for the cap early in the game. There are situations where a quick cap early on is something that's going to make sense, but most games it's better to be taking out enemy tanks and removing guns from the battle. So I line up for shots on the Covenanter using the M3 Lee hull here as a bit of a shield. I take some shots there, actually missed the Covenanter, but hit the T-28 that's coming up behind him. And so I charge forward as the Covenanter's pulling back. The T-28 now comes out from undercover to try to take me out. I'd use auto aim here because I think it's more important to be moving and to try to dodge and weave and avoid the shots, as you see there, than it is to be stopping and aiming. And we talked about the aim time on this gun and the fact that you can't fire as quickly if you want to take fully aimed shots. So I don't want to be stationary because that gun can really hurt me. He's missing all over the place, whether he's using auto aim and hitting the hill or manually aiming. It doesn't matter either way because he's missing and he could do a lot of damage, as we talked about. Take him out. The enemy Covenanter is now right in front of me there. He's on low health. I decide to use auto aim again and keep moving. I make a bit of a mistake there and charge right at him, giving him a 0 deflection shot. And he does pen me, but I have no problem finishing him off. So I take a look at the mini-map now, and if you notice down the river valley there, that Matilda is holed up on the corner holding my teammates at bay there. If he's got his front armor towards him, they're going to have a lot of trouble penning him, and if he's using the top gun on the Matilda, it's super quick firing with good pen, so they're going to take a lot of damage if they try to push around at him. So he's vulnerable, he's isolated, and I decide to head down into the valley here and charge forward to see if I can help my teammates out and maybe be able to take out that Matilda if I can get shots at his rear, maybe at his side if I decide to hit some APCR ammo. So we're charging down there. You can see the LTP still alive. He's not able to do anything. He's putting shot after shot after shot into that Matilda. I'm not sure if he just doesn't have any premium ammo or if he's choosing not to use it. But again, the Matilda's a tough nut to crack, even for tier 4 tanks, let alone a lower tier tank like that. So you can see here now I've got the rear of the Matilda, 1 clip, and that's APCR ammo, as you can see there. He's dead. And now I'm going to start worrying about this enemy Hetzer. Of course, the other Hetzer was taken out early in the game, but this second Hetzer, as I mentioned earlier, I'm very concerned about. If he is able to pen me with a high explosive round, it could be curtains for me, especially now that I've lost a bit of health. And there he is. You can see shots raining down around him there. And I line up the shot. I do take a second to aim at his lower plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom. he actually takes me out. My 4 shots in the air at the same time that he fires, and we managed to kill each other. So that's it for that battle. Pretty happy with that. Ace Tanker, Top Gun, pretty good result there. Again, I'm top tier, so not as surprising maybe, but certainly happy with that. And pretty good game all around. I'm pretty contented with that. 1041 XP, 896 damage. Generally pretty good. So let's take a look at the second battle now. Those of you that have been playing the game for a while might have some sentimental thoughts about this map. This is a 9.5 replay on South Coast, and I got to say I kind of miss this map. I really enjoyed it. They tweaked it, over the years and improved it, I think. And it's one of those maps. Yeah, it's kind of corridory, but there's lots of opportunity for crossfires through the middle part of the map. And you have to have pretty good situational awareness if you're going to push, because there's all kinds of threats potentially on your flanks. So looking at the enemy team, I'm a little concerned about their KV-1 and their T-40, both of them. If the KV-1's using the derp gun, and of course if the T-40 has the top gun, those are both tanks that can kind of obliterate me pretty quickly. And they also have a couple of Panzer 1Cs, which can be pretty dangerous. And if they decide to start circle strafing me and using their autoloaders on me, then I could be in trouble there as well. So I head down the east side, and this is on this map, for those of you that remember it, traditionally was where kind of all the lights and mediums went for the most part, while the heavies tended to stay sort of more towards the western side of the map, the beach, and sometimes in the middle. So you can see there now our Panzer 1C appears in the middle, and I'm going to try to put some hurt on him, and I do get a couple of rounds in out of my first two. The second two miss, and he's shooting back, and you can see he's penning me a bit, but some of the rounds are bouncing, so I'm taking a bit of damage, but not a whole bunch, and put 2 more rounds into him, and hopefully the last 2 in this clip I can finish him off. Let's see what happens. He's backing up, and we do manage to take him out. So that's one of the threats I was worried about out of the way. You can see now our Panzer 38 NA decides to charge ahead into the middle, and he's getting overwhelmed here. He's surrounded by a Keyho and an M5A1. So I try to help him out there. I'm putting shots into the Keyho, and he backs off quickly. Now I've got the M5A1 who's on really low health, and I'd love to be able to take him out, but unfortunately there's some cover in the way there, and I'm unable to save our Panzer 38 NA before he gets killed. You can see on the mini-map there, most of the enemy's gone beach or in the west center of the map, and I'm looking around thinking, no one's appeared in the village there above me down the eastern side of the map. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to play this, I guess, kind of like a fast, medium, or a light, and we're going to try to find a scene to exploit. And so nothing seen so far down this flank. And I'm going to use that little defile there in front of me to try to head up and penetrate towards the enemy cap. So pull around this rock, and we're going to use this as cover to try to peek out over and see what we can see. I've got the KV-1 there coming down the 0 line behind me there, which is great. I've got some cover if anybody tries to flank me. And you can see there I spot the SU-26, take him out. He really doesn't have a chance there with no armor, and again, this Bofors gun's pretty punchy. Now some more enemy tanks are appearing there, and the M5A1 decides to YOLO me. He's on such low health, I could probably ram him. If he even grazed against me, I'd probably kill him, but I just back off and let him come, and he does a bit of damage there, but I take him out. So there's a dangerous light tank, actually, in this kind of matchmaking. An M5A1 with a good driver can do a lot of damage. So now our T67, who's actually a player from the Foxy clan and is a pretty good player, they're a pretty solid clan, decides to YOLO ahead and actually winds up getting some shots there but getting killed, and the M37 takes him out with a bit of shotgun action there. Clean shots on the side of an arty piece, and I bounce. That just is dumbfounding. Hey, it happens. Imagine if I'd loaded the high explosive ammo we talked about earlier. If I'm bouncing AP on that guy, then certainly you can see the downside of maybe doing the high explosive thing if you run into an arty piece. I'm worried about the T40 on my left flank, and as I round the corner there, I do spot their M41. I get 2 pens on him, and then our artillery takes them out. And this is a bit of a recurring theme through this game. That artillery player did manage to pocket a couple of kills on low health tanks that I took out, but hey, that's what he's for, right? So I ran the corner here towards the enemy base. I see a T70 camp in there, and I'm not sure if he came back to cover my approach, thinking I was going to get the base, but or he just camped there the whole game, and or maybe even was a bit of a bot. The fact that he moved at the end there makes me think he was probably not a bot. So the battle's winding down now. There's only 3 enemy tanks left, and most of them are way up at the other end of the map. So I figure there's no way I'm getting up there before they die. I may as well just stay here, get a few cap points, and wrap up the battle. So here are the battle results. When I first completed the battle, it told me I got an ace tanker. I uploaded the video to a replay site, Quickie Baby's replay site, and it told me I didn't have one. So of course that's a moving target depending on how well people are playing that tank. But pretty happy, 806 damage, 881 XP, and I was able to make a pretty good contribution to the victory. So that's it. That's the Covenanter. Great little tier 4 tank. You saw it working a bit as a medium, a bit as a light in the different replays. Let me know what you think. Please leave your feedback. Do you find this an interesting series? Are there other tanks that you would like to see user-friendly videos done on to help out other players? And if you liked it, please click like. And I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. Hoping to put out a lot more great content. Thanks for watching. This is Sir Harry. Cheers.